Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Fabriello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video, because today we're gonna do a collection video. More specifically, because we had this whole renovation nonsense going on here, I had to reorganize all the shelves behind me. Basically what happened is that there was a major water leaks in the building, so all the flats and the restaurants in the ground floor were affected by this, some very seriously. We were some of the lucky the lucky one who had kind of the least amount of damage, even though the entire wall behind me was damaged by water. So we had to call the building manager, waited for them to get their act together and send their contractors to do the repairs, repaint everything. So as I said, meanwhile we had to remove everything behind me and disassemble the shelves. It was a nightmare because it lasted more than a month, but finally now everything's done. We are moving on with our lives, and I was able to rearrange some things in the shelves, which is something that I enjoy to do occasionally. And among things, I was of course putting my games back, and that made me think, wait a second, I filmed years ago a general collection videos of what I have here in London, which is a fraction of my collection, i.e. mostly handheld systems and respective libraries. And in this past year or so, I've managed to increase my 3DS collection, which is a video that I haven't filmed yet. So today I'm going to show you all my 3DS games. So it's not much, it's a decent sized collection I'm very proud of, because I can say for the most part these are all games I enjoy, I think I will enjoy, or I'm interested in. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see. There's not going to be many surprises. I think you kind of know what to expect from someone like me, but I always enjoy these type of videos. So before starting, definitely let me know in the comments or video responses or whatever what you think about the 3DS, since recently the prompt for this video specifically, other than remembering those old collection videos, was a video that I did as a collab together with my friend Leo the Funny Nerd and other YouTubers on some of our favorites 3DS games, and also disappointment on the 3DS, which is one kind of sort of I will mention when we'll get there. But also let us know what you think. What's like if you want to do a response video showing your collection, be free to do it. Let's just start it with the first game, which it's I think universally considered a mediocre game, and that it's Codename Steam. I haven't played it yet. I don't know when I'm going to play it, because to be honest I want to give present to other games. But I mean, it's, for what I understand, it's a strategy RPG and it's by Intelligent Systems, so how bad can it be? It's probably not as good as Fire Emblem, but no series is basically as good as Fire Emblem. I'm curious about it. It looks very like steampunk-esque with this self-shaded graphics. As I said, like it's probably nothing special, but I don't think this is going to be a bad game. Also considering that it was like cheap as dirt, I mean, I was like, sure, I'll get it to beef up my collection. So Codename Steam. Next we have an interesting one, and that is Shinobi. I always like this sort of like ninja games on such as, for example, I always loved the Ninja Gaiden series already on the NES, and then I love the game on the Xbox. I want to play more of that series, but in the meanwhile I always knew about Shinobi. I never played the old arcade game and all of that. So when I saw this on the 3DS I was very curious, and I played about 5 hours or such of this. I have not finished it because this is brutally difficult. I love the graphics, very, again, stylized in a way that fits very much the tone of the game. As said, like, it's very challenging. It's completely in a way like Henson repeats, like you play the same level over and over and over again until you know it's every nooks and cranny, and you know what to do by the end. So it's one of those games, if you have to like it, but it's a nice throwback to this old, brutally difficult arcade games. A lot of fun. Next, we have what I picked as my sort of disappointment on the 3DS. This is not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that once I played it, it confirmed that I'm kind of done with this type of games. And that is Hyrule Warriors Legends. First of all, I think I've played the inferior version. I mean, it's not bad, as I said. It's just like, I'm pretty sure the version on the Wii U was better. Also in terms of presentation, like, as you know me, I don't really care about graphics and stuff. But, still, it's a decent looking game on the 3DS. But, yeah, I also saw pictures and videos about the one on the Wii U, which is so much better. But I can ignore the graphics and all of that, but the problem with this game and type of games to me is the gameplay. I am so sick and tired of the Dynasty Warriors formula. It's the same since the first game, and this hence a repeat again of mowing down hordes and like mindless drone soldiers. It gets very tired very soon. I mean, I still managed to pump 25-ish hours into this because I love the Zelda Call of Pain. It's a nice, as I said, it's a nice alternative to the Zelda formula. I enjoyed for what it is. As I said, I pumped more than 20 hours. But by that point, I was sick and tired of this. Especially something that I hate about this game is that there is zero challenge for most of the maps. All of a sudden, you have to fight a named character, and that's super hard in comparison. You're just there fighting it for 2 hours, doing minimal damage. Eventually you manage to beat him, and then you start facing again thousands of these mindless soldiers who they don't do any damage to you. They're just annoying. I mean, as I said, like, sick and tired of these games. But as I said, like, it was a fun variation of the Zelda formula. So overall, I mean, I'm zero interest in the Calamity Age on the Switch. I have others, the Muso games, say the Fate, Umbral Star on the Vita. I played for 2 hours, already kind of tired of that. I want to try it again because I'm sure since it's a Fate game, it has a better story. This, not so much. But that said, not a bad game, just like a series I'm completely, not a series, let's say, a genre I'm completely done with. So, Hyrule Warriors Legends. Next, we have an interesting one. Castlevania Lords of Shadows Mirror of Fate. Just rolls up your tongue. I mean, anyways, the only Lords of Shadow games I've played so far, because I have the first one on PS3, but I haven't played that yet, obviously. And I'm not very curious about 2, but we'll see eventually. I have to play all the Castlevania games I can get. This is pretty good. I enjoyed it. I know that, like, for what I saw, I haven't played it yet, but Lords of Shadows very much feel like a sort of God of War type of game with a Castlevania skin and lore attached to it, which it's fine, I'm not complaining, but we'll see how the first Lord of Shadow is. But Mirrors of Fate, I think it's the attempt of the Lords of Shadows sub-series to go more into a Metroidvania to approach, even though it's very light-hearted, considering it's a Castlevania game, since the Metroidvania elements are there, but not much in a way, because it's pretty much like you go right, you go left, you go left. Oh, I cannot go there because I need an ability. Go back, you go right. Oh, I got the ability, so I can go back. So it's kind of that. It's a bit basic Metroidvania. I mean, Mercury Steam perfected it with another game, we'll talk later. But on the other hand, combat was a lot of fun. The story was told in a weird way, meaning I think the order of the characters is completely wrong. Even though that's more nitpicking, just personally I thought that inverting the order of how the story is told would have been more effective. but it's a Castlevania game, so the story is kind of secondary. Overall, though, a big disappointment in this, excuse me, the main disappointment to me was the music, because Castlevania is a series which is synonymous with amazing soundtracks to me since I discovered the series on the NES. This very bland, very generic, very forgettable soundtrack, which is very bad for a Castlevania game, but other than that, this is a pretty good one. I mean, nowhere near as good as most of the series, but it's still a decent one. If highly recommend it, actually. I don't mind it. I don't mind saying it. Next, we have a very nice one, and that is Shantae and the Pirate Curse. The first Shantae game I ever played, even though I knew about the series. This is a very interesting one. It's a 2D platformer, very with a Metroidvania approach, even though it's quite light-hearted. There is a lot of backtracking, but this is such a charming and funny game. I really enjoyed it. Especially, I love the very weird cast of characters, the colorful graphics, the goofy humor. So I really enjoy my time with Shantae, and I always say, and I'll keep repeating till my dying breath, the Shantae series would be amazing as a RPG. Kind of like the Mario and Luigi series, or Mario RPG, those kind of, again, light-hearted RPGs, with the main focus is the humor, a goofy story, because with this content, it would be amazing. I don't think they'll ever try it, unfortunately, but still need to play a lot of Shantae game, but this, as an introduction, was great. I really enjoyed my time, highly recommend it. Absolutely a really cool game, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Next, we have an amazing one, and that is Tales of the Abyss. Currently my favorite Tales game, though I still need to play a lot of them. This was great. Love the story, love the characters. The only downside to me was the fact that it went pretty heavy on the techno-babble of the Tales series, though that's major nitpicking in a way, to be honest. Like, I really love the story, even though I don't remember most of it, but the main gist, the whole thing with the replicas, that was great. I love that. The characters, especially the main party, amazing cast. One of my favorites, probably my favorite cast of characters from the Tales series, even though I like the cast from Tales of Hearts R, but personally this was better. I mean, say, Luke has an amazing development, very simple concept in a way. You start with your main protagonist, super unlikable, and then through major events you make him likable, development, and all of that. It's a very simple trick, but very well done by Namco. Tyr, my favorite female character from the series, Jade, one of the funniest characters from the series, and so many more. I think the villains were a bit wasted. There was so much potential there, since most of them were connected with the main characters. But overall, this is a fantastic game. It's a great port, since I know obviously the Tales of the Abyss, it's a PS2 game. It would be amazing to have a full like HD remake, like to properly update this, even though it doesn't really need it, because this is pretty recent, I think, relatively 9 years, so why not? But phenomenal action RPG, loved every second of it, and I think an absolute must on the console. Tales of the Abyss, great game. Speaking of great games, Seven Dragon 3 Code VFD. I love this. Absolutely love this game. Unfortunately, it's the only Seven Dragon game we have officially here in the West. The first one was released on the DS. If I want to understand, it's quite a sort of Atrian Odyssey type of game, which is interesting, considering what this is. While the next two games, Seven Dragon 2020 and Seven Dragon 2020 Part 2, are more like this, basically, which is more a traditional RPG. But very cool setting. I love the idea of this war between humanity and the dragons, what the dragons are, the dragons being flowers and all of that. Very cool stuff. This game has a very big build-up of a story in a way, because at first it's nothing special in a way. You just this team gathering up to fight the dragons. Yay, fantastic! But then I would say by the halfway point, the game started to get much more serious, with certain characters, very emotional moments. Some of the most emotional boss battles I've experienced in a long time, I have to say. Especially a couple where really I was able to experience like strong emotions while fighting certain bosses, which I would say it's the sign of a very good game. Also, the music, amazing, but not surprising since this was made by Yuzo Koshiro. Gameplay, very old school, traditional turn-based, first-person perspective, though you see the characters attacking, but it's all job-based, so there is quite a lot of customization. Also, this weird cast of characters. I mean, it's all customizable in a way, which is a bit of a negative for me, because I prefer characters with personalities, because there are characters with a lot of personalities in these games, and I would say, why can we use them instead of creating these blank characters who never speak and everything like that? But there's, again, personal things. I hate silent protagonists. But overall, I would say it's a fantastic, dare I say, hidden gem on the 3DS. Even though I'm sure everyone knows about this, but really, really liked it. Really liked this. So Seven Dragon 3, Code VFD, fantastic RPG. Oh wow, this is an interesting one. I cannot wait to play it. Who has the time to play with these games? But I couldn't resist. It was very cheap. I'm so curious, and also because this is a genre that it's not well represented on the 3DS, which is first-person shooters, I think, because I haven't played it yet. But Metroid Federation Force, Metroid Prime Federation Force. Where do we even start with this? I mean, I haven't played it yet, though I heard this is actually a pretty good game. But it has one problem. It's called Metroid Prime. And especially this might be the game with the worst possible release ever, because this was announced, and by the time the demand for a new Metroid game was at its peak. It's been a long time since the last Metroid game, which was Other M, which is generally a not very well received game. It's a very divisive game. Personally, I love it, especially gameplay-wise, it's fantastic. Story-wise, it's not as good, but the gameplay is so good that it covers the not optimal story, let's say. And the voice acting is not very good, but who cares? But that was on the Wii, and it was the last proper new Metroid game, or Metroid game in general, so everyone was clamoring for a new Metroid game. We were begging Nintendo for a new Metroid game, and all of a sudden they announced a new Metroid game is coming. Everyone was so happy, ecstatic, and then he's gonna say it's going to be this, and everyone's like, wait, what the fuck is that? Who want that? So it was doomed from the start, basically. But as I say, I heard that it's pretty good, actually. It's a good, I think, first-person shooter, and some people said it's even a hidden gem for what it's worth, but I couldn't resist. I say I had to have it, and it was dirt cheap, plus it's a Metroid game, apparently. Is it? I don't know. It has the title, so I cannot wait to play Federation Force. I'm very curious. As I say, it's first-person shooters on the 3DS, pretty not very well represented genre, so curious about it. But then Nintendo blew it completely with the timing on this. Now it redeemed itself with further announcements, and let's move to this Metroid Samus Returns. Woof! Phenomenal game, one of my favorites on the 3DS, and one of my favorite Metroid games, because in the past I mentioned that this might even be my favorite, though thinking about it, I don't know, that's a really big claim, because I'm a huge fan of Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, that is also potential like number one to me. That it's Metroid perfection, especially because it does the horror side of Metroid, the sense of the claustrophobic sense, the sense of loneliness, the sense of horror and fear perfectly. This is a phenomenal remake of the second game. I know, of course, of another Metroid remake too. Supposedly that was also excellent and was fan-based, but as an official remake, this was as good as it can get. I mean, absolutely loved it from beginning to end. The gameplay is perfection. The sense of exploration is great. It looks gorgeous on the 3DS. The music is very good. And the combat, again, those boss battles were just epic. So this is the game we wanted, not Federation Force. Maybe it's fantastic, but this is what we wanted, damn it. Plus, of course, by the time this was announced, they also announced Prime 4, which who knows where that is, but we'll see. Hopefully this is not the last new Metroid game. For example, why can't we have an amazing HD remake of Fusion, for example? Because as I said, that's one of the best Metroid games. Or a new one, why not? Because Metroid is such a good series, one of my favorites from Nintendo. I'm a huge Metroid fan. And Samus Returns to me delivered 100%. Loved it from beginning to end. Speaking of loving a game from beginning to end, one of my favorite games on the 3DS has to be Stellar Glow. Phenomenal strategy RPG. I loved everything about this. I love the story because I love this type of stories. I really like the elements in this story. I'm not gonna say anything because you have to play it, because everyone should experience this game. It took me a while, even though I bought it, then I was playing other things for a while, and then I said, wait a second, I still have to play Stellar Glow. Couldn't put it down. As I said, great story. Really likable cast of characters, from the main character Alto to the various witches and others. Really cool concept for a villain, really cool lore, and of course, amazing soundtrack. I mean, considering how important music is to this game, the soundtrack is excellent, and those songs by the witches, which are essential gameplay wise, but I love to hear them. Especially, I would say, one of the best moments in this whole game, a little bit of a spoiler, but one of the main character is this, the protagonist's childhood friend, Lisette. And you discover she's a witch, yes, spoiler alert. But the thing is, she cannot sing. And singing is the most important thing a witch can do. But she's unable to, and then this goes on for a while until there is a battle during which the party is in a very difficult spot, and all of a sudden Lisette arrives and starts singing. That moment, the build up to that and that deliverance was incredible, and there are plenty of moments like this. I just wanted to share this little piece of Stellar Glow, which it's unfortunately the last game made by Image Push or Image Epoch, whatever they're called. A very talented studio that unfortunately is no longer with us, but I would say what a way to go with one of the best RPGs on one of the best consoles ever made. So, as I said, they made their statement with Stellar Glow, and another of those games that I think if you like RPGs, you have to own it and you have to play it. So, a potential 10 out of 10 game here with Stellar Glow. Ooh, speaking on another good game, we got... Let's start with this other one, actually. With 3 from the same series, and let's start with the one I haven't played yet, and that is Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. Haven't played it yet, really want to, just need to find the time. But I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, and I heard mixed things about Fates, and I'm very curious to experience it by myself to say what I think about it. But as I said, I haven't played it, so not much to say, but cannot wait to play it. Next we have the other two, which I have played, let's start with Echoes Shadows of Valencia, an amazing remake to the second Fire Emblem game, Gaiden, which I never played because obviously. But what a way to do a remake. Loved it from beginning to end. Love the story, love the characters, love the music. Of course, I love the battle system in Fire Emblem games. One thing that I have to highlight is the voice acting, which is superb in this game. One of the best I've experienced in a long time. But man, very emotional story, great moments, proper like Fire Emblem story with like the highlighting the futility of war, the effects of war on people and friendship, even relationships. Really enjoyed it, and I have to say, Celica and Alm might be a contender for one of the best video game couples, lovers. Really enjoyed the relationship between the two of them. And of course, speaking of Fire Emblem, we have to talk about Awakening, my favorite 3DS game, one of my favorite games of all time, my favorite strategy RPG, what else? My favorite Fire Emblem game, if I haven't mentioned yet. I'm one of the believers. I love this game from beginning to end. I pumped more than 100 hours in this game. People argue, it's a waifu simulator, or whatever that means. Who cares? It's a fantastic game. I loved the story. Really enjoyed the cast of characters. Loved the fantastic soundtrack. It still has, I think, the best combat system out of the entire series. So I don't know. So many things I love about Fire Emblem Awakening. It's the first game I bought on the 3DS, the first one I beat, and it's still my favorite. It's that good of a game, so not much to say about it. It's just a damn perfect game. Speaking of perfect games, Xenoblade Chronicles, of course, how can you not add this? The idea that this is on the 3DS is just mind-boggling. But what a game. There's so much I still need to do in this. It's ridiculous. It's huge. But as I mentioned on previous occasions, the main strength of this game, to me at least, it's incredible original setting. The whole idea and the concept of the Bionis and the Mechonis is just pure genius to me. One of the most original I ever experienced. But then you have an amazing and unforgettable cast of characters, an epic grand story, an amazing soundtrack. The only thing I'm still not and wasn't in love with this game, even though I enjoyed it, it's simply not my ideal one. It's the combat system, and it's very action oriented, but that's fine. After a while I managed to grasp it properly and enjoyed it after the first couple of hours where I was like really struggling. But then I say, no, this is a great action system. And then like the epic story. Oof. Such a good game. I wasn't able to play it or experience it on the Wii, which is a shame considering how important Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii actually is. I don't think that it's emphasized enough, because we take it for granted. Yeah, it's a great game on the Wii, but the idea of having a game like that, a JRPG like that, on a home console, back then was unthinkable in a way, because everyone was saying, oh, Skyrim is the greatest game of all time because it's very big and you can do a lot of stuff. So is this, and it has an infinitely better story. And everything about this is infinitely better than Skyrim, since I mentioned that as a comparison of a big game. But man, what a game, monumental, I say. I think one of the most important RPGs of its generation. Truly a fundamental game, and it's so good. So again, just the idea of having this on the 3DS, it's crazy. I'm very tempted by getting the enhanced port on the Switch, but I don't know. We'll see. But in the meanwhile, I still have a lot of things to do on this, and I don't know when I'm going to do them. So, but in the meanwhile, just having experienced this incredible game is enough for me. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, an absolute 100% must. Next, we'll calm down, we descend the RPG hype machine here, and we move to Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. I think this might be again this lesser version, because this was released on the Wii originally and probably will look better there. But then I thought, when am I gonna play it on the Wii? So let's get the 3DS version, because I don't have many platformers or any on the 3DS. Let's get my favorite platformer series, which is Donkey Kong. So I love DK, I love that, the whole Donkey Kong family. Those games on the Super Nintendo blew my mind. That's so good. Some of my favorite platformers of all time. I need to find the time. Maybe I might play now after the current game and before the other Juggernaut RPG I want to play, because I might need something colorful and fun like Donkey Kong in my life. And I love this game, so I cannot wait to play Donkey Kong Country Returns. Next we have Ghost Recon Shadow Wars, hailed by many as a true hidden gem on the 3DS, and there might be some truth in that. I think you can argue every game is a hidden gem, but this looks very interesting. Like a strategy RPG in the Tom Clancy's universe is like, what? And it's supposedly it's very good actually. It was dirt is cheap. Actually, cheap as dirt. But I haven't touched it yet. I just bought it for like £3 while I was again in the let's increase my collection phase. So I'm planning to play it eventually. Don't know when to be honest, but it's here. It's not going anywhere, and I'm always in the mood for a good strategy RPG. So we'll see what happens with Ghost Recon Shadow Wars. Next, let's tackle these together. We're moving to one of my favorite series, well represented on the DS and 3DS family, which is obviously Dragon Quest. And we have Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of the Forgotten Past, and Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. Already played this on the PS2, but I cannot wait to replay this. Never touched Dragon Quest VII because it wasn't released in Europe on the PlayStation 1. So I cannot wait to play this eventually, sooner rather than later, ideally, but we'll see. All these huge RPGs, but of course I have to have this, obviously. So with this was the missing piece of my collection. It's cool that I have here with me all the games from on like the physical games from number 4 to number 11, excluding not 10 of course, but I want to get 10 just so that I can say I have all the numbered Dragon Quest games. So very cool and must own for me, must play. Cannot wait to replay these two huge games whenever I'll find some time. But again, like I couldn't skip neither of them, especially this, considering that I haven't played, because I have 8 on the PS2 as well. So to be honest, with 8 though, I really wanted an HD port on the Vita, even though it didn't happen, of course. And it's great that we have this on the 3DS, but imagine Dragon Quest VIII HD on the Vita. Would have been so cool. Speaking of another series, let's go with Bravely Default and Bravely Second. I haven't touched neither of them because I don't have the time to play all these RPGs. I really want to. I love RPGs which are entirely based on job systems. Bravely Default had a big impact considering it was hugely successful. It really gave new life to portable JRPGs, and this sequel, people think it's better or worse than the first one. It's debatable. I don't know. I haven't played neither of them. In a way now, I'm kind of wait on the third game, Bravely Second 2, and then marathoning the series, but we'll see what happened there. Next, we're almost done. Last 3 games. I got 2 more that I haven't played because I say, like, who has the time? But yeah, it's unbelievable to think that I haven't played this yet. But there is a reason for it, and that it's The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. The main reason is lately, in the last couple of years or such, I really didn't need to play Zelda. It's a very weird thing, but eventually I think it'll come up. I really want to play this first. Like, I haven't even played Breath of the Wild yet, but because I don't have the spark, that play me kind of feeling. I want to play other things first, and I think that first I really want to play this because it really scratched that Link to the Past itch, which is my favorite Zelda game at the moment, and we'll see. But I'm sure I'm gonna love it whenever I'm gonna play it. It's just that I don't have that motivation to play the Zelda games. It's very weird. I don't know why, because I love the series, but I'm just prioritizing other games at the moment. This is a game that I've chased for a long time, and still I haven't played because I'm playing something else, but I was lucky that I was able to get it now, before its prices started to skyrocket like others within that series, and that it's Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux. I've been following this game since the DS. I really wanted to pick it up back then, but missed my chance then. Like, at one point it was normal pricing, then it exploded, then it went back again, then we got this port, and then now the prices for the Shin Megami Tensei series are insane. So, but at least they managed to snag this on the 3DS. I will play it eventually. I really want to. As, again, just need to find the time, the occasion, because now I'm playing another game in this series, which we're going to talk in a second. So I'm going to take a bit of little break from SMT, but I'm going to play this sooner than later, and I cannot wait to play, because I really like the feeling I have from this. It really looks like a Lovecraftian kind of approach to the SMT formula, which now I love it. Up until recently, not so much. So people change, opinions change, nothing we can do about it. And for the grand finale game, I'm currently playing I'm almost, I think, 70 hours into this game, and that is the superb Persona Q2. The second Persona game I ever played after Persona 4 Golden. And wow, I'm enjoying every second of this game. I loved it from the start, and this completed the hat trick that Persona 4 started. Because I say, with what I was talking about Strange Journey, like, up until recently, I was very lukewarm toward the SMT series. I played Devil Survivors 2 and didn't really enjoy it as much as I could, should, wanted, you can argue. I liked it, but I think I could have enjoyed it even more. Even though that, yeah, that's a slightly different thing since it's a strategy RPG. But with the Shin Megami Tensei games, including Persona, I was always on the mindset that it's like, I should like this. Why I'm not attracted by these games? Because I really like the themes, I really like their style, I really like their stories, really like characters. I mean, everything I love in JRPGs are in the Shin Megami Tensei game. I wasn't too sure about the combat system though, and the whole Persona fusing and all of that. That's why I might want to replay Devil Survivors 2, now that I have a better grasp of that. Anyways, as I played Devil Survivors 2, enjoyed it, but not at its fullest, let's say. Even though I really liked it, I really liked the characters, the story, everything. It's a great game, don't get me wrong, it's just I wasn't able to enjoy it as much as I might have, but that's my issue. After years, I played Persona 4 Golden. Loved it, fantastic game, and especially it got me into the mindsets, especially some of the mechanics, like the social links, especially the demon fusing. That was a big block to me. So got that out of the way. Loved the story, absolutely loved the characters, but I wasn't still too sure about the combat system. Then this came out, or at least that this comes in, I love the story, love the characters, even though, to be honest, this is more of a love letter to Persona fans, since there's this huge cast of characters from Persona 3, 4, 5. I mean, Jesus. It's so hard for me to have a stable part in this, because since I don't have much nostalgia for these games, I don't keep the same party members. But other than that, this completed the hatchery in a way that now I'm freaking loving the combat system in this. I'm having so much fun. You see, it's a process. It didn't click instantly, because it might not with games, but now, I mean, the tension, the adrenaline rush of finding like the weak spot of an enemy, it's the best. It's amazing. Yes, I get it now. So I really want to play more Shin Megami Tensei games, and now of course they're super expensive. Piss off. But in any case, this is easily one of the best games on the 3DS. RPG wise, top notch, absolutely brilliant, great story. Don't let the cute graphics fool you. This is a very mature game in terms of its themes, because it all has to do with conformism, accepting who you are, the matter of identity, of being part of a society. Very interesting and important themes, all told from the perspective of these cute anime characters with the chibi form, which is amazing. One of my favorite character, absolutely, it's Elizabeth. Like, on the Residents of the Blue Room, the Velvet Room, actually, Elizabeth is absolutely the best. She's hilarious. But then, like, of course, you get the great cast of 3 amazing games, and because of this, I bought Persona 3 Portable on the Vita, of course, because it's impossible to get a physical copy for an honest price. Now that game, it's in the hundreds, so it's not gonna happen, but I got it on the Vita, which is probably the best solution, and I cannot wait to tackle that. It's probably, after this, I want to take a small break from RPGs, because I just play RPGs all year. Then play something short and sweet, ideally. I was thinking either Donkey Kong or Manhunt on PS2, that's not really sweet. Oh, but we'll see. And then tackle Persona 3. Maybe finish it by the end of the year. If not, we'll see. But I really want to play those games now. So there you have it. This is my 3DS collection at the moment. Nothing too fancy, nothing too extravagant, but I'm very happy with it. Plenty of games I liked, and I know I will like, which is the most important thing, because by now I'm super picky with my games, considering like the ridiculous amount of games which are like released constantly, which is not a negative. It's just like we're overwhelmed and oversaturated in a way with good games, which is a good problem to have, I guess. But in a way, like, I say, no. I'm gonna play one game at a time. I'm gonna focus on my backlog, because I have too many games that I bought and not playing. And eventually I'm gonna get the new ones here and there. And I'm not gonna get everything. I'm just gonna get the games I know I'm going to play. So very strict with that. But yeah, so there you have it. My 3DS collection. Hope you guys enjoy this type of video. I'll see you soon, and in the meanwhile, take care.